Yes, welcome to Twitch Sessions with Kutski. I'm sick again. January bloody flu. Always happens the one time that I think it's a quiet time of year. Hang on, let me turn down the music so you can hear me bloody ears. There we go. Yeah, one time a year, get a bit of time off is January when it's quiet. Try and regather, plan ahead for the next year. First week, nothing that's going on in the industry. Try and have a bit of a break, enjoy myself, maybe even have a few days away. Always sick. Been fine all year. Last time I was sick was the first week of bloody January when I went away again. So it's like I got back off the crazy tour this week, like all the Christmas New Year stuff. Got over all of that, and then came back. Thought I'll catch up on emails for a day, and I went away with my missus for like long weekend, like Friday, we left on Saturday, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and it was like kind of woke up Saturday morning, with that feeling when you feel like, oh, everything's aching and I haven't done any exercise. And then normally when you're getting a cold and a bit of your skin goes sore on your arm or something, it was like that all over, and I felt shit. But the good thing is I think it might have actually been real flu, because like I had flu once before when it was like, I always used to say I had flu until I really had flu, and then I knew the difference, and flu's way worse. But it's like the weirdest thing is it was getting worse and worse and worse day after day until last night. And then it was like I'd like gone to bed, felt terrible, and I was watching the end of the Leeds game, which we were losing, so I felt even worse. And then literally within the space of like 30 minutes, felt the temperature fade away, and then I like got appetite back and everything. So I don't feel too bad today. But yesterday, I tell you what, wouldn't have been if yesterday was today, I wouldn't have been doing the stream today. Thanks for all the subscriptions coming in. Appreciate that. I'm glad I came in. That's what you get, isn't it, for being a grafter? Shout out to Magic DK with a tier 1 subscription 6 months in a row. Shout out to CC with a tier 1 subscription 20 months in a row. Thank you, CC. Shout out to Orange Juicer with the tier 1 subscription for 19 months in a row. Uh-oh, somebody's saying that they haven't got any sound. Is the sound normal? You can all hear me? Or has me bloody computer caught it from me as well? Who else have we got in? Shout out for the real Scooter J with a tier 1 subscription. Appreciate that. So yeah, today is just going to be one of them play new music streams. I haven't really been sent that much new music, to be honest. I got sent an absolute belter by DJ Isaac, but I can't play it on the show yet. He was like, hold it down on the podcasts for now, just keep it for the clubs. Shout out to Swanee1 with a Twitch Prime subscription for 15 months in a row. Thank you very much. Alan Jenkins just confirming that the sound's good, as well as Del Boy and Orange Juicer. So yeah, so there's not really been a lot exciting happening as per usual. It's like I always say, like, I worked all last week up until New Year's Eve, saying that when I got back I was going to have Friday just to get up in the morning and chill. And then I thought, well, if I want to enjoy my weekend away, I want to get on top of the emails before I go away. So then I ended up working on Friday. Got back yesterday, felt terrible, and I was like, well, the next few days it's just going to be a write-off in bed. I was so ill last night when I went to bed, honestly. I really haven't felt that bad in ages. But then it's like when I woke up this morning, I was like, I don't feel that bad. And then I realised that when I'd gone to bed in me fluey fever dream haze, I forgot that a big gig that I'm playing in San Bernardino, Beyond Wonderland, had been announced last night at 10 o'clock. And of course I was in bed by then. It's kind of like, not realised at all. So then I just checked. I was like, oh man, I need to post that online. So I went online. So I went and checked my email to get the artwork to repost all of that up on the socials. Then once I saw that, I thought, well, I better start downloading new music. And then I thought, well, if I'm downloading new music, then I've got all the new tunes, so I've got a theme to do when I next do a Twitch session. And then I realised, oh, that's actually today, because I'm all messed up with my days of the week, over Christmas and New Year. So yeah, and then I thought to myself, I was like, you know what, I don't feel that bad, so I just cracked on with work today. And I've literally just been over the mall now to buy a draining board to put my dishes in, and while I was there I treated myself to a new scrubber for the shower and a frying pan. So yeah, January sales done, Kutski style. No new games? Are you impressed with me buying things for the house? I feel all kinds of grown up. Shout out to Stevie from Scotland, Stevie Love 79 in the chat. Shout out to Ulysses 31 saying respect for the grind, John lad. Feel better soon. Yeah, I will. I really, honestly, today it's like I'm laying it on a bit thick now. Like I know, a poor me and stuff like that. But I don't know it. Like I do feel shitty today, but just not even a scrape on the surface. And I've never, like normally, when you feel like you're coming down with a cold, I'll get like a cold that'll be ever evolving. It'll start with a sore throat, then it'll move on to my chest. I've got a cough for months, and I've got a blocked head for thing. So for 2 weeks I'll feel like crap, and then it'll take like about a month to finally shake it off. But with this, it was like 48 hours of death, and then within half an hour I felt it just go gone. Weird. I don't know, is that a virus or something? Speedy B saying, been working but from home. Welcome to my life. That's a good thing about it. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, because if you can work from home, this even goes if you're, kind of a normal 9 to 5 day job and stuff. It's kind of, if you work from home, it's good because you don't have to go into work sometimes. But if you can work from home, your employee can expect you to work from home. So, it's kind of like, 10 o'clock at night, it's like, well, we really need this doing. If, it was a case of going into the office, they couldn't ask you to do it. Whereas if they're like, can you just get this done? So yeah, swings and roundabouts, eh? I hope you get more of the first and not the latter, Speedy B. Del Boy saying, sounds like a virus. Yeah, it really must have been. But it's like normally, the thing is, everybody's been sick all around me all over Christmas, and I've managed to get away with it okay. And then, swings and roundabouts, like, in that, in a way, it's like I'm glad it happened when, so I'm not cancelling gigs or anything like that from it. But did it really have to happen over the 2 days away that I took? And then now, the first day back is the first day that I feel like thing. But what I'm going to try and do is, I think I'm going to work for the next couple of days, and I'm going to take Friday off, because I haven't got anything on this weekend. I haven't got anything on in January, to be honest. So, I've got a lot of different stuff that's like, I kind of want to get organised and done. So it's not like I haven't got any work to do, but I might try and take Friday off just to chill and play the computer and stuff like that. CC saying, I barely work from work. That sounds like my old day job. And all my friends that still work there now, they're like, it's nothing like it was back in the day. Shout out to Seraph AA with a tier 1 subscription 4 months in a row. Thank you. Yeah, so not really that much to report, to be honest. I played in New Year's Eve. I played in Belfast, Northern Ireland. That was wicked, and it's so funny. I went out for dinner with the guys that kind of run the club before we went to the club. Obviously, I had one bottle of beer with them when we had dinner. That was the only thing I drank over New Year's Eve, and I wasn't sick or anything like that. It was like, I don't know, I think I get homesick. And which is weird now, that because I was staying back at my parents' house, and obviously that's the house that I grew up, so you wouldn't think I'd get homesick being at, effectively home. But I just don't like, I've noticed this, if I'm away for more than 2 weekends on the bounce, I feel a bit weird. Where it's like I don't really want to, I don't know, a bit withdrawn, a bit depressed or something. It's obviously mild, I'm not trying to oversell it as that thing. But I've noticed if I have 3 weekends on the bounce away, that second week in between, so if I'm away for longer than 10 days, I start to get a bit don't really want to play the computer, don't really want to listen to music, can't be bothered doing any work. I'm just kind of sitting there waiting for time to pass to get home again. So felt a bit weird on New Year's Eve, to be honest. It's because obviously I was tired from all the travelling that I've been doing, all the gigs that I've been playing over the festive period. And then obviously, all the different gigs, you're having a few beers here and there and everything. Then by the time it comes to New Year's Eve, do a lot of people feel like this as well? Because I'm never a huge fan about New Year's Eve. And it's by the time it came, I thought, you know what? I've got to be up early for a flight in the morning. Kind of not feeling like drinking. And obviously, because I'm, used to having to drive to gigs and stuff like that, DJing sober is no problem for me at all. I'll, enjoy it, just take it or leave it. Sometimes I fancy a drink. Sometimes it's I'm fine without. But yeah, I was just like, you know what? I'd rather be fresh tomorrow and go home on an early flight. But it was funny because I got to the airport at say 9:30 in the morning on New Year's Day. There were some messes in there, I tell you. I was talking about it on Twitter, but yeah, the people that you could tell had had 2 hours sleep, and you could see the ones that had powered straight through, and then you could see the ones that had just gone to bed at 8 o'clock the night before, fresh as a daisy. It was proper mix in there. Shout out to Savoury 24/7 with a Twitch Prime subscription. 9 months in a row, thank you, my friend. Sorry, I'm just reading back what's going on with the chat. So yes, coming up in the mix, like I said, over Christmas there's not really a ton of new music, but I did get sent some cool edits, that people have made to play in the clubs over the festive period, so I'll be dropping them. That new Isaac one I said I'm sitting on, I've got to keep that held down for a little bit yet, but as soon as I can play it, it'll let me know and I can play it on the stream through in the coming weeks. But yeah, I've got like a bunch of just cool re-edits and mixes, and so yeah, there is some new stuff really, but to be honest, I'm playing normally it's like what I get sent now, I'd be picking the best of from what I got sent that week, whereas this is like the past 3 weeks worth of music that I've been sent, probably everything. So yeah, because obviously it's like, it's the same as when we were scheduling in releases for the Keeping the Rave Alive label. There's no point in releasing anything over the festive period because it'll just get lost. People are too busy, no one's paying attention to stuff like that. So our first release of the year is coming out last weekend of January, I think it is, so new MKN track, so I'll play that in the mix as well. I'll play my new one as well that's just been signed to BassCon. What else have I got? New bits. Well, got sent through some really cool. Got sent through Weaver's edit of Darren Styles' Switch, which I've been playing everywhere. That's really cool. I'll play that near the end once we pick up the tempo a little bit. Some new stuff from Comb, the Japanese producer that I just did that track Frost and Fire with, that's coming out on Skink, and I love everything he does. This guy, so he's going to be one of those names that's like, he's kind of he's around kind of our scene. I think he'll blow up to be like bigger, like one of those transcendent genres. Like DJ Snake was trap, and then he was DJ Snake, and like Showtek, and they're like bigger than the genre, aren't they? So I think Comb will be like that at some point because his productions are just too good. He's amazing. So yeah, so I've got a bunch of new stuff from him, his new release, and a new bootleg that he's done as well, remixy thing of James Brown is Dead. Remember the old ravey thing? Who did James Brown is Dead? Can't remember now. Brain dead today, completely brain dead. Sepha AA, yeah, like Angerfist and Headhunters, yeah, and Brennan Hart as well I'd put in that category. They kind of transcend the genre, don't they? This mix in the background now, I don't even really know what it is, but it's like a mashup of like weirdy dubsteppy hardstyle stuff, isn't it? I like it. I don't think I've heard this in a while. I made it, apparently, back in the day. It was in my massive folder full of mixes that I did for Radio 1, so yeah, I'm guessing it's one of mine. I like it. What you need is like a room full of dry ice and smoke, do the jungle swing. I think this is Fades, actually, the track in the background, Hardcore Heads. I used to play it before people hated on you for playing breakbeat music in rave sets. I reckon you could get away with playing it now. Delboy asking if the new track is Kutski and Comb, Frost and Fire. Yeah, that's the one that's coming out on Skink, which is Showtek's label. Which is quite funny, really, when you think about like what a weird thing, because obviously when Showtek were really big, I was on the same agency as them in Holland, and they were on the same agency as me in the UK, so we toured together loads, played loads of gigs, and then they went off and did kind of the more EDM-y thing, and then we've did this new track which is kind of like hardstyle, really. I mean, it's like one of those like trap guys would play it, hardstyle guys will play it, even the hard end of EDM would play it and stuff, and then Showtek wanted it for Skink, so here we are again, full circle. So that's cool to be working with those guys again. Delboy saying, yeah, heard it on Isaac's podcast. Yeah, shout out DJ Isaac. That was how we got talking, actually, because he said, have you got anything new for the podcast? So I sent him over that new track, and then he said, here's my new one, but it's not safe for the podcast yet. So that's how that Isaac thing from before came. But yeah, when Isaac played it on the show, I've been getting loads of messages from like proper big names as well, with people saying, hey, yo, Kutski, that track's wicked, man. Why haven't I got it yet? And I'm like, because didn't ask. But yeah, so it's nice that to hear that from so many people as well. So yeah, fingers crossed that'll be a big release, that one. And shout out to Comb as well. Like, I'm gonna get him on the in the guest mix on the show, but want to wait and get it around the time that their track's coming out, because it makes sense to cross promote it and stuff. But yeah, he's definitely going to be a huge name on the scene without a doubt. Anyway, Does it look like I'm looking at the timer? It's counting down now anyway, 10 seconds before we get in the mix. Like I said, it's just going to be just me playing through all the new tunes. Some of them I've listened to before, some of them I haven't. So yeah, here we go. Kutski in the mix, January promos. Let's do it.
Style evolves until it has reached a point of perfection.
Sorry, just quickly. What if it's da 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 da.
Sometimes I wish I could fly into the depths of space and marvel in her glory. When you look out into the stars, what do you see? A jumbled mess? Or the place you call home? In a universe with an abundance of possibilities, what's holding you back? What do you see? What do you see? A jumbled mess? Or the place you call home? What's to say we aren't made of stars? Just a small globe in a sea of darkness. Yet we still find the light every day. Made of stars. In a universe with an abundance of possibilities. What's holding you back?
This one is the new MKN track Voices. This one's coming out on Keeping the Rave Alive later this month.
We are going to do this again. But this time, slightly faster, and with more noise.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
On my body.
I got the skills, technically, you know?
Get ready for launch.
Respect the skills.
Get ready for launch.
This is my new one, by the way, let me tell you.
personal freedom to be able to talk and be able to say things. They've got all these rules. You want to go and do something and somebody says, oh, you can't do that. Don't do that. Psychedelic drugs. Freak out music. If you don't know anything about it, it's probably not that bad.
Cause nowadays it's the ways of the underground.
What if I dream that you sent us away into the dark and we get hurt? You send us away out into the dark and my heart breaks right in half. And I can't feel anything happy for weeks and months and years until I can't stand it anymore and I have to die. In the night, in the dark. The dark gets us. I can't feel anything happy. I can't stand it anymore. I have to die. I have to die.
Light up in the dark. And then I'm broken, the edge is frayed. We drift out of focus, our separate ways. I see a way out and I call your name. I want us to be brave, swim under the waves, dance around volcanoes and give all that it takes. Oh, I am not afraid, there's no room for fear. In my line, my line, we'll light up in the dark.
let the bass get ya.
3, 2, 1.
Switch.
Don't let the bass get ya.
Open up my eyes and tell me who I am. Let me in on all your secrets. No inhibition, no sin. How deep is your love? Is it like the ocean? What devotion are you? How deep is your love? Is it like the water? Hit me harder again. How deep is your love? How deep is your love? How deep is your love? Is it like the ocean? Pull me closer again. How deep is your love?
Don't let the bass get ya.
3, 2, 1.
Switch.
Don't let the bass get ya.
together, living my dreams with you, with you.
This one's the I'll Be Loud re-edit of a track from a couple of years ago now by myself, Kutski, and Kit Hype Stars. I'll Be Loud edit.
This empty street on the boulevard of broken dreams, where the city sleeps and I'm the only one, and I walk alone. I walk alone, I walk alone. I walk alone, I walk up. My shadow's the only one that walks beside me. My shallow heart's the only thing that's beating. Sometimes I wish someone up there will find me. Till then I walk alone. Why keep you hiding where the sun is dark? It's hard to find one to know where you are. Why keep you hiding where the sun is dark? The sun is dark.
Motherfuckers, but you get this.
Why keep you hiding where the sun is dark? It's hard to find one to know where you are. Why keep you hiding where the sun is dark? The sun is dark. Why keep you hiding where the sun is dark? It's hard to find one to know where you are.
Ring the North Star, rule the public enemy. Ring the North Star, rule the public enemy. Ring the North Star, rule the public enemy. When it's showtime, I dedicate my energy, 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 dedicate my energy. You wanna holler, motherfuckers, but you get this.
Living in a world with no mercy. How to make you feel my pain. I can never show you mercy. I'm the one who lose again. You won't be the water, still you fan the flames. Pour it out like gasoline and watch me burn again. Tear me down to nothing, I will rise again. Break me down to nothing, no it's not the end.
the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop. Take it to the build up and we get into the drop.
Yeah, so there we go. New music with a sick Kutski. Not sick, bruv. Like sick, like genuinely sick. Hope you enjoyed it anyway. Show must go on, innit? I don't miss 2 weeks in a row, and last weekend was New Year's Eve, so we're here regardless of our look and feel. Good beats though, innit? There's some good stuff. What was going on in the chat? I did notice Mysterious in the chat, who makes a plugin, a little bit of studio software that I've been using, and I've got a big Mysterious up for 1, making an amazing bit of software, 2, having great customer support, 3, and this is an important thing that I think a lot of developers miss out on, charging a fair price for a bit of software. Because I found out about this. Basically, it's a piece of software that you use in, when you make your kick drum in hardstyle and you get your big gong, And then when you're using it in a track, you want to alter the sound slightly. You want to change the note that you're playing. So gong, 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 all that type of stuff. Get really complicated with it, not to go too deep if you're not into production. What you're supposed to be doing is when you're changing it to a different note, you're supposed to be leaving the front of the kick drum alone so it doesn't change the tone and everything past it on the tail. Now the proper way of doing that, who all the really good producers like, they use a thing called Contact, which is like a sampler. But it's like a really heavyweight sampler, and most people don't even use it as a sampler anymore. They more use it as like a sample player. So they'll have like, orchestral sound banks and stuff like this, and it's like, it's a really heavyweight bit of software. It's a pain in the arse to use for me because I don't know how to use it. Like, it's expensive, and that's how a lot of people use it. And I kind of thought, if you use it all the time, then yeah, fair enough, use it for that. But for me, it was a little bit like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. It wasn't ideal for what I wanted. So the way that I'd do it is I was just doing it in Ableton Live, where I was literally doing the kicks in audio, splicing the front off and repitching the tail. Not as clean a sound out of it, but I'd seen a few other people did it. I know Joey Wright was doing it like that. Endymion were doing it like that at one point in Ableton. So I'm there thinking to myself, it's like, I'll just get away with doing it like this. And then I was working on a track with Michael Faze, and he was using this new bit of software called Nimble Kick, which is the bit of software that we're talking about. And basically it was imagine Contact, that I was talking about the way that you should be doing it, with all the bullshit that's for other things stripped out of it, and then a load of extra settings added on just for tweaking kicks, primarily for hardstyle and hardcore. And I'm like, oh, I need this. And I'm there thinking to myself, God, if this is like, because some software is like crazy expensive, but like if this is like £250, £300, I was like, well, I've kind of got to pay it, because I need this. This isn't just like, oh, that's a cool thing that I could use. It's like, I need this because I'm only using, like, I'm doing it like a hooky way around it. It's like, all right, how much is this going to set me back just before Christmas? Went on there, $30, something like that. And I'm like, when it's that price, you don't even think twice. It's just like, oh yeah, this is useful. And then just to put that into comparison is I don't have a good auto-tune that does what I want to do. And I've used, when I'm working in the studio with other people, I use Melodyne a lot, and I really like Melodyne, and I really want it. It's £700 for the version that I use just for the auto-tune, just to touch up and tidy vocals. So I'm always forever downloading, kind of like other bits of software that might be able to do it, that's kind of okay. And like, because basically Logic in it, which is a whole new music sequencer, has got auto-tune built into it. And I don't use Logic, but the auto-tune is very similar to Melodyne. But I kind of want Melodyne, but it would be cheaper to buy Logic, the full bloated whole Logic, and just use one slither of it, and it'd still work out infinitely cheaper than buying just the thing that I want. It's like, if you charge me like 70, 80 quid for Melodyne, I'd buy it right now. But I'm not paying 700 quid for something that it's like, there's other alternatives out there, but it still nags at me in the back of my mind that I want that bit of software. And it's like, I think, like when you look, Logic used to be like £700 or something to buy Logic. That's what I paid for it when I used to use it back in the day. Now you go on the App Store and you can get it for like 120 quid or something, and that's for the, you're getting most of the stuff that you want. So if, 120 quid for your main music software, and between 10 and £50 for, VSTs, basic ones. If it's a super more complicated one, then maybe like, 100 for a big synth or something, that's a fair price. But these crazy prices that they're charging on stuff, that's what causes people to pirate it. Now I know I'm in a position where I'm kind of like, it's my career, so kind of like, I earn money from it, so that's why it's like, I have to pay for the software really. It's like, otherwise morally what are we doing it? But it's like, I think it's just works so much better when people charge a fair price for a fair product. And I genuinely think that a lot of companies must be people like Apple with Logic, I suppose is a bad example because Apple probably making so much money selling overpriced iPads, so not the best example, but I'd hope that they see the reflection of more people buy Logic when it's £120. I'd hope 10 times more people buy it at that price than people are buying it at £700, and they would make more profit from it in the end. So yeah, and I also hope, I really do hope that that's reflected with Nimble Kick as well. So if you're into music production, this is unendorsed by the way, no free codes for me, no promotional things, this is a genuine endorsement, and I don't talk bullshit. It's like if you produce hardstyle or hardcore and you want any kind of like gong gong kick in your track, any kind of editing or anything to do with that, that is well worth your $30. I mean, it's not even 30 quid, is it? I think it's that price, I don't want to say it. I remember it was like insanely cheap for it. I remember looking at it, I was almost looking at the website from my fingers, because when you need something, and I was like, this isn't one of them, like Melodyne, I can get away without it. With this, I'm looking at it and going, I really need this. I was like, how much then? And I'm like, oh, fair price. So yeah. So if you're into producing music, I highly suggest you check that out. Nimble Kit. What else is going on in the chat? Sorry, I'm going off on rants. High on cold and flu medicine. No, we didn't get up to 300 BPM, did we? Oop, who's in with? Shout out to Mr. Zor in with a subscription. Thank you, my friend. Chaos Raver saying we got a rant in the end. Yeah. It's a positive rant though, isn't it? Or was it a negative rant? It's kind of a negative rant. Ranting about Melodyne being overpriced. So I wonder with things like that, because obviously it's like they've got a business model and they've been in business for ages. What are they called? Seller something. They make Melodyne. And it's like when you look at all the videos on it where they're showing how to use it, they're like producing country and western music or something like that. So have they just got a really niche client base that make tons of money that can completely justify like 700 quid for an auto-tune? I'm wondering like how that works. And maybe they think that if they drop it down to 50 quid, because there is, like, to be fair to them, there's 3 different versions. There's like Melodyne Light, which is like £99, Melodyne Middle, which is like £299, and Melodyne Full, which is like £699 or something. And it just, and I don't really know how to use auto-tunes, like, to get the full most out of it. But I know how to lock everything to the note and get the vibrato, the wobble of the voice within the note, and just tidy it up and just tidy it. But all the features that I use on it, like there's like 3 different settings that I use on it just to tweak it to get it right. And to get all 3 of them, I've got to get the highest version. And I'd like to think that I'm not the most power user of auto-tune, just tidying things up. But I need all of them things. So yeah, so if you can, if anyone can suggest an auto-tune. But the problem is I always ask people over and over again, like every 6 months I'll pop up and go, can anyone recommend a good auto-tune that's a fair price? And everyone recommends loads of them, and I'm like, it's not Melodyne. Mysterious. You want to make an auto-tune? Buy it. Just don't charge me £700. Mysterious saying Cubase has a good one built in. Fruity Loops has one too, yeah. And Dickhead over here uses Ableton Live, doesn't he? And I'm always telling everybody about how great Ableton is, now amazing it is and stuff. That's the one thing that it doesn't seem to have. Is an auto-tune. The best solution that I can find to the problem so far to get all the features, because I have used that one in Logic. Because I had, I can't remember, because I did have Logic ages ago, but I didn't have it through the App Store. God knows where it was. Anyway, I was using the auto-tune in a version of Logic that I had on an old Mac, and the auto-tune in it had all the features that I need out of Melodyne. Now I'm thinking, but the thing is, because Melodyne, you could use it as a VST when you could drop it into your projects in your host, like Ableton. So I could drop it in there, but it was very weird, like you had to hit record, play a sound into it, then tune it, and then that channel would effectively be muted and Melodyne would play over the top of it. And I was always a little bit, it never seemed to be stamped in stone. So I ended up, what I was doing is I was just exporting the vocals, chucking it into Melodyne as a standalone bit of software, tuning it, exporting it out of Melodyne, import the tuned audio into my project. And if I'm working like that, then at that point I may as well just buy Logic for 120 quid and use Logic like Melodyne. And that's my solution at the moment. But that's like, how much is Logic now? 130 quid. So like, I could get that. I mean, 130 quid for an auto-tune still expensive, but I'd rather spend 130 quid on an actual auto-tune rather than on I don't know why psychologically it just doesn't seem right to buy this whole bloated thing. The other thing is I know Logic's really good for making hardstyle kicks with a phase distortion, but I've also do believe, I'm giving some plugs out here, Mysterious is doing, he's got another little plug-in, I forget the name of it, please remind me in the chat, a distortion thing that replicates, is it the phase distortion in Logic? Which is what everyone uses to get that real ring distortion, like ringy sound out of Logic, and nobody's ever really found an exact one. Mistortion, it's called. So yeah, I haven't had to play around with that yet, to be honest, because I'm not the greatest sound designer and stuff like that. I like working in audio a lot. It's like, the Dutch guys are very much like they'll learn the theory and they'll craft everything themselves, whereas I'm from the UK rave scene, so if I can steal it and cut corners, I will. So yeah, so it's like a lot of my stuff is just done with audio. But this is why Nimble Kick was so great for me, because it's like even if I'm just making a bootleg, I can go into a sample pack, take a sample pack kick and just throw it into Nimble Kick. Away you go. It's like, that's what I wanted. And even though I'm not like musical, like, you know, I can't sit there and classically play the piano or anything, it's like I find it a lot easier to plod out stuff with a keyboard than I do with you know, kind of just drawing in the notes and stuff like that. So for me, the way I was doing my kicks before, I was having to repitch the tail, the wong at the end of it. I was having to repitch that by literally going through and going, okay, so when it's 0 semitones up or down, then it's on G. And then it's like, so I'd have to go, so it's going to go dun, 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 you know, and then work out what the key changes would be, and then work out how many semitones each note was up, and then dial it up on a dial. That's how I was doing it in Ableton. So with this Nimble Kick now, I just throw the kick in it and just play it in. So it's like, you know, literally I've already got if I've got the melody, I've already got the notation. It's just the root note of the, you know, the chord progression. It's really cool. It's really cool. If you're into production, you should check that out. You know what I'm really interested in seeing is, because it does seem, when I was looking at it, I was like looking at it and I was thinking, because I didn't know anything about the plugin when I first started playing with it. I knew Michael Faze had recommended it to me, and on a collab, you know, we were kind of playing around with it. We were using it in our collab, and but I just assumed it was just a tool like Contact, but it was just good for a purpose. And the more I was playing around, I was looking at it and I was like, this has got to be just for hardstyle, because it's, or not just for hardstyle, but it's like it's got to have had hardstyle and hardcore in mind, because all the features, I was like, it's not got any fat around the edge, it's not got any dials you don't need, but all the dials are perfect for use in hardstyle production. And then it's like, then it turns out that, yeah, obviously there's been like, you know, kind of input as well. I think did Corey, Code Black and Frontliner have input on it as well. And the funny thing is like, it's every time, it's like I thought I'd found something cool here. And like I said, Joey Riot, it's like he used to redo his kicks the same way that I did in Ableton Live. And then, so then I'm talking to Joey like a couple of days later. I'm like, dude, you got to check out this new plugin, right? It's called Nimble Kick. And he's like, yeah, man, and he'd already switched. He'd already figured it out, and he's over on it. And of course, like a lot of you'll know, like Sam Audio Freak's one of my best friends, and Sam is just like production genius. And every time I think I've got something, it's like, or I've, you know, figured something out, or I'm buzzing with it, Sam's like, oh no, you can't do that, man, that's cutting corners, and no, that's not the proper way of doing it. And then the proper way, you know, and like, of course, everything I try and do, Sam can do 10 times better, and he's got like an amazing way of doing it. And I'm like, dude, I found a really cool way to do the kicks, like it's dead easy for me. And I was like, I'm sure you've got like, you know, a better reason. And he was like, nah. He was like, I'm all over Nimble Kick, man. He was like, it's the new black, everyone's using it for the kicks. So yeah, so fair play, Mysterious, if you've won over Sam. Like he's like the toughest person to please. But yeah, one of the things, yeah, where was I before I went on a mad rant, is I want to see producers outside, like I see Mysterious saying that Code Black's using it for punches and claps as well. I want to see what a drum and bass producer could do with it. Because when you think about it, like, you know, like when people made the first distortions, and when people made, like, alright, take 303 for example. That was originally made as a box to emulate a loop of a bass guitarist in a backing track. And then we know the 303 for these big screaming acid lines. It was, you know, it really got taken to the next level when it was being used not for what it was supposed to be used for. And same as, like, you know, kind of like the 909s, like, you know, nobody was expecting them big gong kicks to be coming out that box when it was just a thump originally. It was just a big club kick. So what I'm interested in is if, you know, people from other styles of music picked it up and ran with it, what would they do with it? And maybe if they didn't know anything about the theory that goes behind how we do hardstyle kicks, they didn't even really know that that's what it was for. Maybe they just thought it was a cool sample player. And what would they do when they're putting vocals into it? Like, what could you do with that? I mean, I'm like, my brain's going now, like, now, because I've been away so much over Christmas. I haven't had time to really get involved with it. And then of course I had my big laptop crash just before I went away. And then so it's a case of getting it all reinstalled and stuff. But I'm just thinking now, a little trick that I learnt when I was in the studio with Endymion a while back is like, when I was just throwing in vocal samples, and it's like, kind of like, and you want it like stabby vocals, like Bart said, instead of just throwing it in a sampler normally and just like, said like put a pitch envelope, which means it's going to slide from a really high pitch down, which is what you do with a lot with like, to make them laser kicks everybody talks about. He was like, do it with like, anything, but it's so like, so it's not, you're not hearing it go down. It's such a short distance, it's almost just like a click, but it makes everything that you put in super clicky. And I'm thinking, what could you do with vocals in Nimble Kick now, because you've got all of that type of control on it? Because I think, is that the Pogo, which is from Fruity Loops, I believe, because I know Kane uses the Pogo thing a lot to do them like big GPF-y type pew 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 laser kicks. Yeah, Mysterious, that's exactly it. Sorry, I'm looking, the chat's a little bit of a delay on it, yeah. So yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. So yeah, so that's what I was doing with vocal, and I was doing that pitch envelope in just using the sampler in Ableton. So I've been doing that with, whenever I want just like, like a percussive type vocal sample or anything like that, throw it in there and stick a pitch envelope on the front of it just to make it more clicky. And now I'm thinking, well, if I use Nimble Kick for that, like, is anybody using that for, like, what... when you get a new toy like that, and it's kind of like, it's more like later on everybody's figured everything out on it, and it's like, you never know. You never know. Right, the time has run up. Shout out to Oliver, who's just picked up the mix pack up there. I've just realised I sent somebody the link the other day, and the zips download okay, but the individual downloads, when I resynced my box after I set up my new laptop, the link's dead, so I need to put the new link in it. So thanks everybody who picked that up and helped support the cause. Appreciate that. Mysterious saying vocals would be kind of hard, I think. It's not really made for super long samples. Aha, but this is back to what we were just talking about, my friend. If people are abusing stuff and using it in the wrong way, like one thing that I found in like, I'm not talking about big long massive vocals, I'm talking about like little vocal stabs and vocal shots, so probably not much longer than a kick or something like that. So, or even like, what about, yeah, because I work in samples a lot. This is why it excites me so much, because I use the sampler a lot in Ableton with stuff. Now I'm thinking what I could do with that might give different effects. Like, I went through sampling a lot of rave stabs and then setting loop points at the end, so it'd play the beginning of it and then it'd loop the end backwards and forwards to effectively recreate a synth from the sample. But there was like, I was playing around with Serum, and I was loading samples into the wavetable audio samples, and then you're supposed to use a cycle of the sample in the wavetable. But then I was automating the cycle position with the LFO, so as soon as you press the key, it cycled through it, and I was trying to get a time stretching effect. It wouldn't work, it all sounded granular, and it was like really limited with it. And then I tried doing it with Ableton's new wavetable synth, and it comes out with the sickest time stretching type sound. And again, I don't think that's what it was meant for, but yeah, that's what dance music was built on, experimenting, and idiots like me trying to use bits of software not how they were supposed to be used and stumble into something great. So that's my mission. Obviously it's my new go-to for doing kicks and stuff, but I also want to just see what happens if you throw a load of stuff in it. Do a live stream or something sometime. Cool, right, the time is up now anyway. I'm ill and I'm going to take some aspirin and go to bed. So thanks for joining me, listening to my random rants. Hopefully next week I won't feel as rough and I'll be a little bit more coherent and we'll have more of a themed show. But yeah, I'll sure you'll agree that there was a lot of good music that came out. I was underselling it at the start of the show, wasn't it? I should do it the other way around, where I oversell it at the beginning and then kind of apologise for it after. But yeah, anyway, there we go. Enjoy the rest of your week. Podcast coming out on Friday, all of that good business, and I will see you soon. Have a good week. It's Kutski signing out. Keep the rave alive.